Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. Going to be taking you through the latest in the world of mixed martial arts with my buddy Cole Shelton here. He's here to break down UFC 240 with me and also talk about the other latest headlines in this wacky world we call mixed martial arts. Cole, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm not bad. I just got back from a funeral, unfortunately, so kind of a long morning. I just wanted to apologize for the guys that did check out this morning's podcast. There was an issue with my internet. I'm really sorry about that. The worst part is I wasn't aware until it was done, and then I had to go to this funeral, so I wasn't able to re-record it. So I apologize. Apologies to Nick for pointing that out to me as well. So nothing I could do about that, but right now it looks like we're good to go. So Cole's going to let me know if there's an issue. I know there's been a few issues in the past month or so. I did have my modem changed like a couple of weeks ago. I have no idea why there's issues with the internet, but if there is, Cole's going to let me know. So, and I apologize, guys, again for that this morning. Anyways, we're going to talk about UFC 240, like I mentioned. Just initial thoughts on this card, Cole. I mean, is this a pay-per-view quality card in your opinion, or no?
I think there's some fight nights better than this. Like, it's takeaway. There's a title on the line, but Holloway, like, all his pay-per-views don't draw that much. And then,
good fight, though. I like the match.
Yeah. Holloway, like, I love watching him fight, like how technical he is. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. Same with Edgar, but like, I don't know, are people really gonna fork out $65-$70 for this? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. The buy rate for this, I mean, I don't really know how the buy rates have been doing, to be honest, since they moved to the ESPN format, because like the old format, this probably would have did like 200,000 or maybe a little bit less. I think like I wouldn't have did too much, but on the new format, I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be even less. I really don't know how those numbers are. UFC keeps that stuff very secret. It'd be nice if they were more open about that, although it's their business. So we just have to take a guess. Anyways, as far as this card goes, I mean, there are some good fights on it, but overall, it's just an average card, I'd say, especially for a pay-per-view. I'm not 100% sure some of these fights really belong on the main card. Like the first, well, we'll talk about in a second. Don't want to bash the card too much. I mean, who knows? It might turn out to be really good. I thought that San Antonio card, Cole, on paper looked really good, so did you, and it ended up being kind of crappy. So this one actually might turn out to be really good. We don't really know, but as far as, is it worth $65? I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, let's get
Sorry. If you look at the UFC tweets it for the rankings, there's technically only 2 ranked fighters on the main card because they don't have a featherweight ranking.
Yeah, I saw that.
Really, it's 4, but if you only have 4 ranked fighters on a pay-per-view main card, you aren't really doing too well.
Yeah, and I think Jeff Neal probably should be ranked. Is he not ranked? I mean, he should be 15th. He should be 15th. Anyways, no, Alexis Davis is ranked, isn't she? She might be ranked.
Yeah, but she's not even on the main card.
Yeah, on the main card, you're saying, yeah, you're right. Anyways, let's just get right into it. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up. 1 second. Let me just pull up the event page. We'll start from the bottom and move our way up, just like last time. All right, first fight of the night, Cole. Heavyweight bout here, man. Tanner Boser taking on Giacomo Lemos. The opening odds had Boser at -125, Lemos -115. Currently, we have Boser -170, Lemos +150. So definitely some early actions coming in on the Canadian Tanner Boser. Cole, who's your pick in this curtain jerker at UFC 240?
I really like Tanner Boser. It's good to see him finally get his UFC shot. And it's not like he's one of those regional guys. Like, I talked him for this fight, and he's like, I basically just said F it to the regional shows. Like, I'm going where I'm getting paid. So he went to, like, ACB. He's fought some tough guys. He fought, like, Rakeem Cleveland, who's in the PFL. He has a win over Tim Hague. Like, He has the experience there. And he is from Alberta, so it's going to be real close to home. I think he gets it done. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks Lemos out.
Yeah, heavyweight fight between 2 big dudes. I definitely think someone's going to get KO'd in this fight. There's no props yet, so keep your eye on that. I mean, I don't think it'll be too much of a difference than him straight up, because I think everyone thinks it's going to end by stoppage, which it probably will, but we'll see what happens here. I definitely think there's going to be a stoppage here. Yeah, I'd like Boser too. I mean, for me, it's just more experience, fought better competition. Lemos, he's only has 6 fights. And if you look at who he's fought, Cole, like, who are these guys? I don't even know who these dudes are, right? At least Boser's fought, like you mentioned, the late Tim Hague. Rest in peace, Tim. Twice, actually, beat him the second time. Victor Valimaki. Who else? Rakeem Cleveland. Tony Lopez. Like, he's fought Chase Gormley, DJ Linderman. These are former UFC fighters, some of them. So, to me, he has that experience advantage. I think that will come into play here. If the fight does go late, too, I think he can grind a decision out as well. So, either he gets a KO or wins by decision. But I do like Boser in this fight to open up UFC 240. So we'll move on to the next one here. It is a welterweight bout, between Eric Koch and Kyle Stewart. Eric Koch was fighting at 145 not that long ago. Now he's fighting at 170, Cole. So that should be kind of interesting. Opening odds actually had Eric Koch or Kyle Stewart as a minus 155 favorite and Eric Koch at plus 115. Currently, we have Kyle Stewart as a minus 120 favorite with Eric Koch at plus 100. So basically a pick with a slight lean towards Stewart. Who's your pick in this one, Cole?
Well, yeah, it's so weird to see like who Koch used to fight. Like he knocked out a Sunset once before a Sunset went drop down. To see him fight a welterweight, like I'm really interested to see how he looks. I think this is a fight where, with all the guys getting signed on contenders here, I think the loser here gets cut. Like Stewart did not look good against Chance Rencounter. Koch is off 2 losses in a row. And it's a really interesting fight. I think Koch gets it done. I think he's fought better guys. He has the more experience. But then the size really could play a factor in this one. Stewart could overwhelm Koch. But I think Koch gets done by decision.
Yeah, definitely an interesting fight. I'm curious to see how Koch looks at welterweight. I mean, this guy has been nothing but a disappointment in the UFC. And it's sad because, dude, back in the day in the WBC, Cole, like this guy looked like he was going to be the next big thing at 145. Like he actually knocked out, like you said, Rafael Sunset on his debut. He also knocked out Rivera in the WBC. And I remember when he came to the UFC, he was supposed to fight Jose Aldo at UFC 149, that horrible card in Calgary 7 years ago. He got injured and Aldo got hurt, and the fight got canceled, and he's never reached those heights again. He barely fights now. He hasn't fought since. We fought last year, I guess, but basically he fights once a year, Cole. So it's been 18 months since he last fought, coming off 2 straight losses to Clay Guida and Bobby Green. He hasn't fought since 2016. And you know what I do, guys, when I see fighters coming off of huge layoffs that haven't won a fight in a long time, I pick against them. So I'm going to pick against Eric Koch here, and we'll see what happens because I think he is the better fighter on paper, but I don't think it matters, man. I think Stewart's going to probably get the job done here. I just think he's probably going to grind this guy out. Would I bet on this fight? No way. It's not like Stewart was impressive at all, man. He looked terrible against Rencounter, but I will say this. Chance Rencounter looked amazing in his last fight against Ismail Nardiev, and this guy might be a lot better than we thought he was, Cole. So in hindsight, maybe not that bad of a loss. And his other losses to James Nakashima, who's in one championship right now, who looks like a pretty good prospect too. So I think this guy grinds him. I think Stewart by decision is going to happen here, but would I bet on it? No, because I don't think either guy is trustworthy with putting your hard-earned money on. Next up, women's flyweight bout between Jillian Robertson and Sarah Frota. Jillian Robertson opened at minus 145, Frota at plus 105. Currently, we have Robertson minus 130, Frota plus 110. Who's your pick in this one, Cole?
Well, it's good to see Frota move up after what she missed by it was quite a bit. It was like 5, 6, 7 pounds, something like that in that range. It's good to see her move up. I think Robertson gets it done, though. I think she's a much better fighter. I wasn't really impressed by Frota's last performance. She really just got dominated. I think she can get it down to the ground and use her jiu-jitsu skills where she has 5 or 6 submission wins and really get another submission win and start and make Canada go 2-0 so far in this card.
Yeah, I want to take Robertson too. First off, more proven at the weight class, although I do like the move for Frota to move up. But, Robertson's looked okay in the UFC. She had that win over Emily Whitmire, which looks, I think, pretty good in hindsight, especially now how Whitmire's looked in the UFC. The win over Molly McCann, that looks pretty good. Cole as well. Macedo, she's not great. But she also has a win over Hannah Cyphers in the regional scene, who's, I think, a pretty good fighter. And she's fought just high-level competition, Cole. Look who she's fought in her losses. Cynthia Calvillo, Hannah Goldie. Like, these are decent fighters. Mayra Buena Silva, Bar Honchak on the Ultimate Fighter. So she's actually fought really good level competition, only 24 years old, trains in the American top team. Like, she's got a lot going for her. Takes on Frota here, who's definitely a big girl, 32 years old. She's a little bit older, obviously 8 years older. She's definitely going to be big, man. And she's, I think, a decent fighter. I wouldn't be surprised if she did pull it off, honestly, because she does have that size. But I wasn't too impressed with the fight with Souza. Just kind of got grinded up by a smaller fighter, which definitely worries me. Robertson's an ace on the ground. I'll take Robertson, man. Either grinds it out or gets a submission here. But give me Robertson. Would I bet on it? I don't know. I mean, it's just someone I want to trust. Not 100% sure because Frota, I think, could surprise us here. So I'm not 100% sure with this one. I'll have to think about it more. But, yes, I'll take Robertson for a pick. Next up, I like this fight, Cole. A very rare flyweight bout between 2 studs here, Alexander Pantoja and Davison Figueiredo. Opening odds had Pantoja at minus 135, Figueiredo at minus 105. Currently, we have Pantoja at minus 120, Figueiredo plus 100. So for the third fight in a row, essentially a pick 'em with a slight lean towards the initial favorite, in this case, Pantoja. Cole, who's your pick in this fight?
Yeah, this is a really interesting fight because Pantoja looked really good against Wilson Hayes last time out. Figueiredo, I think me and you both picked him in his fight. I thought he was going to really beat Formiga, and Formiga really impressed. But this is a fight that it's super tough to call, super interesting fight. I lean towards Pantoja, but this is a fight that I would not bet on because it could go either way. I think it goes the distance regardless. I don't think either of them get a finish, but they're so equal skill set that this is a fight I just kind of pick 'em odds. I think it should be, and I would lean towards Pantoja, but not a fight I'd be comfortable betting on.
Yeah, they do actually have a common opponent in Yusei Formiga. Pantoja actually fought him like almost a decade ago, Cole, in Shooto, Brazil. Like, this guy's been actually around for a long time, but he started fighting at a young age and took it a while to get to the UFC. I've been nothing but impressed with him in the UFC, though, man. 5-1 now in the octagon. Really good wins here. Wilson Hayes, Olka Sasaki's good win. I mean, he's not a great fighter, but the way he finished it was impressive. And then he has the Brandon Moreno win, Neil Seary, Eric Shelton. Also beat Kai Kara France and Brandon Moreno on the show, Damasio Page and LFA. He has some good wins, man. I think the guy's very impressive. But, Figueiredo is also really good. I definitely was disappointed with the Formiga fight. I thought he'd win that for sure, Cole. I don't know what happened there. He just looked terrible. Got really exploited in his grappling. His takedown defense looked bad. I mean, he looked amazing before. John Moraga knocked him out. Joseph Morales beat him. Jared Brooks, Marco Beltran. So he looked really good in the UFC before that fight. I'm not 100% ready to write him off just yet, but I still am going to pick Pantoja here. A little bit younger, more experience, more of a momentum coming into this fight. These guys are studs, man. I like the matchup a lot. I think it could be really exciting, but I got to go with Pantoja. Probably wins the decision, but I guess he could finish the fight because he does tend to finish his fights. All right. Next up, we have a featherweight bout between Gavin Tucker, the Canadian and from Newfoundland, and Sung-Woo Choi. Opening odds for this one had Gavin Tucker at minus 215, Sung-Woo Choi at plus 165 at open. Currently, we have Gavin Tucker minus 130, Choi plus 110, so the odds definitely have dropped with Tucker just a small favorite now, and who knows how that's going to look in a couple days. Choi very well could flip to be the favorite here. Cole, who's your pick in this featherweight bout?
Well, this is an interesting fight. I was really high on Gavin Tucker as a prospect. I think we've talked about before when this fight was announced how high we were on him. Then his last fight, Rick Glenn really just dominated him from start to finish. That was a brutal fight. But this is a fight, I think this is a perfect opponent for Tucker to come back from. I know it's a long layoff, but I think he gets it done. I think he grinds out a decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he finished this fight. Choi, I wasn't too impressed with his UFC debut, and I think I think he's just a better fighter all around. He gets it done.
Yeah, definitely a tough one to call, and I definitely see why the actions went the way of Choi here. People are favoring Gavin Tucker, and I think it's definitely understandable. I mean, he's 33 years old now, Cole. He's not like a young guy. At one point, he seemed like a prospect, but he's 33, Cole, so he's not young at all, especially at 145. He's one of the older guys in that weight class, so looked terrible against Rick Glenn. That was one of the worst beatdowns in UFC history. I think the scorecards were like 30-24, 30-23, Cole. Like there was 10-7 rounds that fight. It was a horrible beating. And you know when you hear about that boxer that just lost his life, Cole, that worries me when you see fights like this, man, where the guy's getting beat down and the corner just sits there and does nothing. Like we haven't had a death in the UFC yet, Cole. It'll happen one day, man. There's going to be a card one day. I don't know when. I don't know who, and I don't wish this upon anyone. Someone will die in the octagon one day, and we're going to be like, why didn't they stop the fight early? And this was exactly one of those fights. And that was scared me, man. I'll be honest. Like I was talking to my good friend Aaron Donster of TSN. He told me he was backstage of that fight, and he said Gavin Tucker's wife was absolutely in tears because he was in so much pain, and they all thought he was like in serious jeopardy of he was seriously injured in that fight. So definitely a brutal beatdown, man. He hasn't fought in 2 years, and since that beating, that's a guy I fade every time. Even though Choi did not look good against Evlov, and overall, I mean, he's fought at low-level competition for the most part. I still have to go with Choi here, man. My pick is Choi. I'm fading Gavin Tucker here. I just can't trust this guy, man. Give me Sung-Woo Choi. Win a decision probably, but would I bet on him? I don't know. I mean, like you said, Tucker, honestly, the matchup is not bad for him because he could probably grind this guy out. I just don't trust him, Cole. And like I said, guys like that get beaten down like that, I'll always pick against them, man. Even though it doesn't work sometimes. Like Dan Hooker didn't work out there, but in this case, I'm picking against him. All right, next up, we have another featherweight bout between Hakeem Dawado, the Canuck, Yoshinori Hori. Odds open at Dawado minus 350, Hori plus 250. Currently, we have Dawado minus 380, Hori plus 315. Who's your pick, Cole?
Dawado hasn't looked good as of late. I know he beat Okniak at 231, but it was a split decision. Wasn't that good. Austin Arnett, he's not that UFC caliber anymore, but I do like Dawado on this one. He said his shoulders were a big problem and they ended up getting the surgery, so that's why he's been out for so long. and you never know how someone's going to look in their UFC debut, which is why I favor Duato. He has the experience. I just think he gets it done. But I mean, if he goes to the distance again, like he says he's a finisher, but he hasn't been doing that in the UFC at all, and he's been blaming his shoulder. So if he doesn't get another finish here, like it's kind of worrying for him.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to this guy. He looked like, honestly, the next big thing. And I remember being my buddy James Lynch and me too. We both were very high on him, and James especially was like, "Man, this guy's going to be a future champion," and just definitely hasn't looked like that. I mean, losing to Danny Henry in like a minute in his debut, since then just be Arnett and Bokniak, and neither of them were very impressive fights. He won decisions in both those fights, not impressive at all. So to me, like he's definitely a guy to fade. I don't think this is the right matchup though to fade him in. Horry making his debut 8-1, only 24, so he's got age in his as an advantage here, but for the most part, really hasn't fought any UFC caliber guys. He fought EC Tamura, who was in the UFC and got knocked out by him, and that's a guy that did not look good in the UFC, and that's the only guy he's fought that has ever fought in the UFC. Otherwise, he's been beating up cans for the most part, Cole. Let's be completely honest, man. So, yeah, he does have some KO power, but I think Duato is definitely a better striker here. Give me Duato, either knockout or decision, probably decision because he hasn't been finishing his fights, but I expect him to be a very popular parlay pick. Is it worth laying minus 380 on him? I don't know, but I think a lot of people are going to because they think this is a blowout fight, and it probably is going to be. All right, next up, women's flyweight belt. This is an interesting one, Cole. Alexis Davis, the Canadian, taking on Viviane Araújo, who picked up a massive upset win in her debut at Brazil, which I was there. But you know what the funny thing about that fight, Cole, is there was an issue, not with me. I actually got my credential, but some of the other guys of the media members were having issues getting their credentials, and we were as a group, and they're like, "Oh, just wait." I just hear the cheer. We go in. They're like, "Oh yeah, Araújo just pulled up this huge upset." I'm like, "What the heck? I just missed this." I had to go back and watch it, but man, she looked good. Anyways, as far as the odds go, we had Araújo open at minus 245, Davis at plus 175. Currently, we have Araújo minus 250, Davis plus 210. Who's your pick, Cole?
Yeah, Araújo looked really good in her last fight. Alexis Davis, it's interesting. She's on 2-fight losing streak, but this is a fight where I think Davis's jiu-jitsu skills are much better. If she can get down to the ground, like I wouldn't be surprised if she submits her. Araújo, she's a natural strawweight, so she fought 2 weight classes up in her last fight. Now back, sort of now in between at flyweight. Whether or not she stays here is to be seen. She's ranked at bantamweight, so I think size won't be an issue in this one, even if she is smaller, because she proved that in her last fight. And I think Araújo gets it done by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if Davis got this fight down to the ground and submitted her.
This is a tough one to call, man. I mean, yeah, Araújo looked really good, but she's also 32, so it's not like she's a young prospect. It seems like she is, but she really isn't. Davis, obviously, kind of a shot-born fighter. She's 34. She's been around a long time, but dude, she has some good wins, man. She knocked out Amanda Nunes in Strikeforce. Like at one point in time, she was one of the best in the world. She has tons of good wins. Valerie Letourneau, Shayna Baszler, Liz Carmouche, Jessica Eye. She has good wins. Sarah Kaufman. Well, she has a lot of wins, a lot of experience. Tanya Evinger is another one. Julie Kenzie. I mean, she's fought everyone, Cole. I agree that she's on the decline for sure, but I think the odds are a little off in this fight. I'm going to go with Davis. I'll take her to win by decision, man. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think she can run this fight out, man. I think plus 210. There's no respect being shown towards her here. I could be wrong with this one. Maybe Araújo just goes out there and knocks her out clean, which could happen for sure because she's got a lot of KO power. But I think Davis has the advantage on the ground. Like you said, Cole, she has the experience advantage. She's also fighting at home. If the fight goes the distance, I think the judges will favor her. So I think there's a lot to like actually here on Davis as a dog. Hard to be 100% confident given how she's looked lately with a couple straight losses, but I still think she has a good chance to win this fight, better than the odds are indicating. So give me plus 210 on Alexis Davis. She's a value play for me, and I'll pick her to win the fight by decision. All right, and that's it for the prelims. So an okay splattering of prelims. We'll see what happens. I like that Pantoja Figueiredo fight. I think that probably should have been on the main card, but is what it is. And for some reason, the UFC loves this Marc-Andre Barriault guy who's opening up the main card here, Cole, taking on Krzysztof Jotko. Krzysztof Jotko opened at minus 230. Barriault opened at plus 170. Currently, we have Jotko minus 165. Barriault, the power bar, plus 145. Some early actions coming on him. Who's your pick in this one, Cole?
Yeah, I'm not high on Barriault at all as a prospect. I think Jotko gets this done rather easily. And I talked to Jotko before the fight, and his camp, he said, this is the first time he's ever done this for this camp, and it was amazing. He said he did jiu-jitsu with Antonio Carlos Jr., who's one of the best. He did striking with Jorge Masvidal, and then he did wrestling with Colby Covington. Like, I don't think he gets much better than that for who ATT has. Like, Jocko's, like, he said, and he basically, like, said, he's like, I'm better than Barriault everywhere. He's like, everyone was hyping this guy up. I watched his UFC debut, and he's like, this guy got exploited everywhere. His striking sucks, his wrestling sucks. He's like, wherever the fight wants to go, I'm gonna bring it. So I think Jocko dominates this fight. I think he even finishes Barrio, and this is 2 losses in a row for Barrio. Like, I think the UFC would start to question like whether or not they even made the right choice of signing him.
Well, the one thing I'll say is the fight with Sanchez was a pretty good fight. That's the only thing I'll say about that fight, because I actually picked him to win, Cole. Even though James was like, "Don't pick this guy, he sucks." That's what he was telling me, and he goes out there and loses. I was like, "Ah, damn it." I don't think he completely sucks. I don't think he's that good either. And he definitely got exposed in that fight. And I'm curious to see why people are betting on him here. I don't really understand the action on Barry. Like, what's to like about him, really? I guess the KO power, and Jocko's been knocked out a couple of times, but I don't know, man. Jocko looked really good against Amandovski, man. Looked really good in that fight. He's got some good wins, like Talis Latis, Scott Askham, who's looked really good lately. Barrio, he does have a decent level of competition on the Canadian regional scene for sure. Has some decent wins here, but Cole, he got exposed in that fight. Jocko trains at American Top Team, man. He's training with the best guys in the world. Barrio can get taken down. He can get outgrinded. He's got to watch his chin, Jocko does, but I think he's going to grind this guy out. So give me Krzysztof Jocko. I think he wins the decision. And you know what? I mean, if the line keeps dropping, you have to play him, because I think at this point there is some value on him as a smaller favorite, because he should have, like, I like the opening at minus 230. I think that's right. He should have stayed as that much of a favorite. For some reason, keeps dropping. Don't know why people are betting on Barrio, but we'll see what happens. Next up, this is a good fight too. Well, I like this one actually. Again, it's just a UFC pay-per-view caliber fight. Not sure, but definitely a fight night worthy fight. It's a good fight. Olivier Aubin-Mercier against Arman Tsarukyan, 155-pound fight. We have Tsarukyan open at minus 305, plus 225 on Aubin-Mercier. Currently, Tsarukyan minus 200, OAM plus 170. So definitely some early action on OAM as a dog, and I think I can see why, because I think that the opening line was a little wide. But who's your pick in this one, Cole? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this fight.
Yeah, this is a really interesting fight. Like, Tsarukyan, we didn't know a whole lot about him when he fought Islam Makhachev, and he brought that fight to Makhachev. That was a lot closer than everyone thought. Everyone thought Makhachev was just going to dominate this guy. And OAM, his last 2 performances have not looked good. Gilbert Burns at 231. Like, OAM's supposed to be a grappler, and he was out-grappled and just he was dominating that fight. Then Alexander Hernandez just did the same thing. Like, he outpaced, out-wrestled, and just really dominated OAM. So this is a fight I think OAM needs to win. The UFC likes him. I don't think he's going to get caught if he loses this, because I think he is a draw in the UFC, in the Canadian markets. But I favor Tsarukyan in this one. I think he can do what he did to Makhachev, which is use his wrestling, and I think he's better at it than OAM, and I think he just grinds out a decision.
Yeah. I like your breakdown, man. I agree with you. I actually like this guy, Tsarukyan. I was hoping we'd get him as an underdog, because I thought he looked really good against Makhachev. That was a great fight. He showed a lot of skill in that fight, man. Good takedown defense, good striking. And the thing I like about him is, Cole, and I like this going into his debut, and I would have picked him if he wasn't fighting someone as good as Makhachev. He's actually fought a good level of competition, man. Like, look at it. Look at some of the guys he's fought. Takanori Sato, Junior Assunta, Felipe Oliveira. These are like former UFC caliber fighters. So those are decent wins for a guy on the way up. He's only 22 years old. He's only going to get better from here. OAM is definitely a good fighter, Cole, but he's kind of a weird fighter sometimes. Like, he looks so good at times, and then other times looks terrible. Like that, the fight with Evan Dunham, I thought that might be the breakthrough fight for him, Cole, but he's actually taken a downswing since then. I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe he needs to change his camp. I don't really know. He's definitely a good fighter. He has the potential to pull his upset off if he can just grind this fight out and get this guy down, but I don't think he can, Cole. I think Tsarukyan stops the takedowns, keeps the fight in the feet, and I think he has better striking. So I'll take Tsarukyan. I think he wins a decision, possibly could finish Aubin-Mercier, but probably more likely a decision, because OAM is really tough and he's hard to finish. All right, next up, and this is probably my pick for fight of the night, Cole. Jeff Neal against Nico Price. I absolutely love this fight. 2 of my favorite welterweights. Love this matchup. Jeff Neal opened at minus 185. Nico Price opened at plus 145. Currently, we have Jeff Neal as a massive favorite, minus 335. Price plus 275. All the actions coming in Jeff Neal, Cole. Is that right? Who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm really high on Jeff Neal. I think he gets it done. Like, I think his coming out party was that Bilal Muhammad win. Like, the Frank Camacho, not good. It was nice, but I still remember comments where it's like, oh yeah, he just caught him. You don't really know how good he is. And then he dominated Bilal Muhammad for all 3 rounds. He's a very tough guy. Almost put him away, which was really impressive, because Muhammad is hard to finish. But this is a fight. I just think they're going to stand and bang, and someone's going to get knocked out. And I think Neal has better head movement. I think he's more powered. I think he's more technical on his strikes. that he'll be able to catch Price. If not, it'll just be a 3-round war like the Bilal Muhammad one, and it'll be the fight of the night. But I like Jeff Neal.
I absolutely love this fight. I'm a huge fan of both guys. Anyone who's been listening to the podcast knows that. I've been picking both guys pretty much their entire UFC careers, even in their losses. I've been picking these guys. Love them both, man. This is an amazing fight. I think it's the best fight in the card, aside from probably the main event. Just a great fight. I like Jeff Neal too, though. Jeff Neal is more technical, and like you said, Cole, better head movement, better defense. That's what worries me about Price. Look at the fight with Abdul over Zach Al-Hassan. Cole, I had him in that fight, man. He got KO'd really early, and that definitely worries me. That dude is super fast, probably faster than Jeff Neal, but Jeff Neal hits so damn hard, man. That head kick win over Kamako, oh, man, that was brutal. And then the win over Bilal Muhammad, who's turned out to be a really good fighter, and it was a good fight too. Man, this guy's awesome. Man, great fight, but I like Jeff Neal here, man. I think he gets the job done. I think he probably knocked Eagle Price out because I think these guys are going to stand and bang and someone's going to get finished. So give me Jeff Neal here, man. And there's a prop on the fight not going the distance, -105. I don't think there's any way this fight goes the distance. Eagle Price has been to decision, one time in his whole career. I don't see this being the second time. Someone's going to get finished here. I think Neal finished his Price, but hey, we got to respect Price's power, man. I mean, that fight with Tim Means, Cole, like the way he knocked him was very nice. And the Randy Brown fight last year, man, he's on the bottom and knocked him with hammer fist. This guy's got KO power. I think take the prop on the fight not going the distance. There's no way this fight's going to go 3 rounds. Someone's getting finished. I think Jeff Neal finishes Price, but at that odds, I think that maybe the prop is a little more value than Jeff Neal as a huge favorite.
Well, all right. And I think regardless, winner of this fight has to get a top 15 guy next. I think Jeff Neal should have got one anyways before this fight, but I don't know. Welterweight's so stacked, though.
It's stacked, and like again, I'm a little confused why Jeff Neal's not ranked. I think he should be personally, but that division is stacked, like you said, Cole. So I guess the winner of this fight really needs this win to break through. Great fight. Love the matchmaking here. No problem with this one being on the main card. It's just a great fight. And no problem with this one being on the card either, on the main card, Cole. This is an awesome fight too, although I do wish it was for an interim belt, but it is what it is. I think that they didn't want to give it to Cyborg because we know that she's having contractual issues with the UFC. They didn't want to put the title on the line. Makes sense. But anyways, 3-round fight between Cris Cyborg and Felicia Spencer. Cris Cyborg opened at -425. Felicia Spencer opened at +305. Currently, we have Christiane Justino -650. Spencer +475. All the action's coming on Cyborg, which I don't think is a surprise here, Cole. Who's your pick in this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting fight. I think the reason for no interim is I'm pretty sure isn't there a thing where if you become a champion, your contract gets extended? I don't know if that works for the interim champion, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works for the champion. So I wonder if Cyborg didn't want to do it because I think no matter what, I think she leaves the UFC after this fight. We can talk about that after, but
yeah, we are. I was going to ask you right after the breakdown. Break it down first. We'll talk about that.
I think Cyborg. This is a fight where I think I've seen people break it down, or I've seen talk on Twitter. I think it was Chael Sonnen maybe, and he basically was saying, I wonder how Cyborg's going to look. Like if she's going to be like ready to brawl like she was against Nunes, because she got caught and she got knocked out. You don't really know how fighters react to getting knocked out, but I think Cyborg is still really good. I think she gets it done here. Spencer's only hope, I think, is to get this fight down to the ground, try to submit Cyborg, but I think Cyborg knocks her out the first or second round.
Yeah, I definitely like Cris Cyborg here. The odds I don't like, -650. I don't like those odds, but she's probably going to win this fight. Okay, don't get me wrong. I was impressed. Man, I was really impressed with Spencer's debut against Megan Anderson. But Cole, Megan Anderson has no takedown defense at all. So we saw Holly Holm exploit her there. So really not that surprising that she lost, especially on the ground. Cyborg has tremendous wrestling, underrated wrestling. Go watch her fight. I don't know if you've seen it, Cole, the fight with Marlus Kunin and Victory, the rematch. I remember buying this pay-per-view, and man, she whipped her around the canvas like a rag doll. It was brutal stuff. She doesn't show off her ground game very often. She usually just strikes because she's got so much KO power. But, man, her ground game is good. So Spencer's going to have a hard time getting her to the ground. And on the feet, Cyborg is a better fighter. Yes, Cyborg did get KO'd by Nunes. Yes, people are fading her. I would like to see that rematch, Cole. We'll talk about that in a second here. But until then, it's Nunes. I don't think that's that bad of a loss. That's the best women's fighter in the world, probably the best women's fighter ever, which I think that fight decided in many ways. So give me Cris Cyborg. I think she wins by KO, Cole, in the first round. Do I like the odds? No. So I don't know if I'd bet on it because I don't think there's value at -650. But at the same time, I don't think I'd bet on Spencer at +475 either. I think I need a lot more to take a shot on Spencer. I just don't like the matchup for her. I think Cris Cyborg wins. first round knockout. Now, I was going to talk to you about this, Cole. As far as Cris Cyborg's contract goes, so Dana White just said yesterday at TMZ, he said that he thinks she's afraid of losing, and this could definitely be just a ploy by Dana to get her to agree to a new deal. But to me, there's just so many signs, Cole, that she's not re-signing with the UFC. She's going to probably win this fight, become a free agent. I think she goes to Bellator and fights Julia Budd. I think that fight makes the most sense. What's your thoughts, Cole?
Yeah, I think she leaves the UFC regardless. And something I started thinking about last week was, I don't know if PFL will do this, but would you sign Cyborg 155? Cyborg has a shot to go millionaire, but then at the same time, she could like ruin the star power Kayla Harrison. So I don't know if PFL would do that, but I think she's gone to Bellator. Her and Coke have a good relationship. And her tweet after Julia Budd won, it's her saying like, this proves Bellator is better featherweights. I think it just kind of sealed the deal that she's gonna leave. Like I'd be surprised if she stayed in the UFC.
I agree. I think she's going to leave too. Now, we have to keep in mind, I think the UFC can match any contract offer. So Bellator makes an offer, UFC thinks it's a low ball, they might just match it and keep her there. But if she's not happy, they might just let her go. I think she's going to be gone. I think she goes to Bellator. PFL is interesting. I just feel like, man, like Kayla Harrison versus Cyborg, I don't know about that fight for Kayla Harrison, Cole. She has like 5 fights, man. To me, that's a bad matchup for her at this point. Now, we'll see what happens with Kayla in the tournament. She goes out there and beats like Sarah Kaufman or Pacheco or whatever in the finals and destroys them in like a minute. Maybe she is ready for someone like Cyborg. I don't really know. At this point in time, I think the best fight out there is, I mean, besides the Nunes rematch, which I do want to see, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we'll see Cris Cyborg versus Julia Budd for the Bellator Featherweight Championship before the end of the year. And here's what I'm thinking, Cole. Put it on that Ryzen New Year's Eve card with Bellator. That would be sick. Wouldn't that be sick? Send Cyborg to – and Julia Budd said she wants to fight in Japan. Did she not? I think you talked to her, right? Or someone did. Maybe it was James. But she said she wanted to fight in Japan. So I think that fight makes sense. And here's the other thing. Cyborg fights in Bellator. How about this fight? How about Cyborg versus Gabby Garcia in like a freak show fight? You know what I mean? Like there's got to be fights out there for her fighting like bigger women or something like that. I think there's a lot of fights in Bellator rising for Cyborg. She just makes more sense there. UFC's never respected her, never appreciated her. Dana White has made fun of her in the past, called her Wanderlei Silva in a dress. Makes fun of her still to this day, saying she's afraid to fight and stuff. Afraid to lose. I got to misquote him there. But he said afraid to lose, which I don't agree with at all. She got knocked out by Nunes, but everything we've seen in the media, Cole, every interview she did, she's like, I want this rematch too. It's not happening, though. Don't know why it's not happening, Cole. I guess she wants more money. Don't know. I'm not going to be one of those people that goes and says Cyborg's scared of Nunes. She's scared of no one, man. She's fought everyone on the planet. She's beaten all of them except for Nunes. I don't think she's scared of her in the rematch. I just think that she wants to test the market, man, and see what else is out there, and that's her right. So, you know, as far as a prediction goes, I think Cyborg beats Spencer and then goes to Bellator and fights Julia Budd. And who I'm going to pick in that fight, don't know, because I think Julia Budd's a beast too. So definitely curious to see that fight, but that'd be my prediction about what happens. All right, time for the main event of the evening. Great fight here, Cole. A fight that we were supposed to see last year. We didn't end up seeing it. Holloway pulled out. Edgar fought Brian Ortega, got KO'd. And Ali Abdelaziz, manager, pulled some strings, Cole, got him another title shot. So does he deserve it? Not sure, but it's a fresh matchup at least, so that's kind of cool. Let's talk about this one. Max Holloway opened at minus 350. Edgar opened at plus 250. Currently, we have Holloway at minus 390. Edgar at plus 320. What was your pick in the main event of UFC 240?
Yeah, this is interesting. It's just like, everyone talks about does Edgar deserve it. I think this is very similar to like Holly Holm, Amanda Nunes fighting. I think this is like the last real person there is at featherweight, like of that kind of old legacy that Holloway needs to beat to prove he's like the best in the division. But this is the thing where Edgar, like I was talking, so I interviewed him before, and he basically said, I don't think Max Holloway has fought a wrestler like me, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does. Like, which actually, I look back at Holloway's record, I'm like, yeah, if you look at his last couple opponents, it's Ortega, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but his wrestling and he's not very good on the takedowns. Then there's Aldo, who's a striking guy. And something else that Edgar brought up, which I was very interested in, I wasn't even thinking about, he's like, Holloway's coming off a loss. He hasn't lost in like a long time. He's like, I don't know what's that going to do for his confidence. And he's like, I'm going to like go in on that, and I'm going to make him second guess himself. So it's going to be really interesting. And then another point for the interview that I wanted to touch on is Holloway's coming back down from lightweight. Like his weight cut is not easy. And this has been a quick turnaround from the lightweight fight. So I wonder how he's going to look on the scale. But this is a fight I think Holloway wins. I think he can just edge out Edgar. But this is a fight I think goes the distance. And I think it's a much closer fight than the odds suggest. Like I think Edgar can steal a round or two, especially if he wins the opening round. I think it's going to make the fight really interesting. But I think Holloway just will outstrike Edgar late and get a decision win.
I like Holloway a lot in this fight, man. First off, 10 years younger. I mean, that's something we have to keep in mind. 10 years. That's a big age gap. Frankie hasn't fought in over a year or two, and you know I fade guys coming off long layoffs, Cole. Yeah, Frankie's a beast. We all know that. The guy's tough as nails. He fights everyone. The guy's a monster, man. And he's just an incredible fighter. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame 100% one day. But I don't like this matchup for him. I think Holloway's takedown defense over the years has really got good to the point where he can stuff pretty much every shot Frankie has. On the feet, yeah, Frankie is a good boxer, really good. But Holloway's got that huge reach advantage, which should really help him in this fight. Length advantage. Actually, according to the stats, Holloway somehow has, or Edgar somehow has a reach advantage, Cole. I don't know how that's possible, but that's what it says. Either way, Holloway fights a lot longer than Edgar does, and I think that should help him in this fight. Keep Frankie at the end of his punches, keep him away from him. Definitely the fight with Poirier, the quick turnaround concerns me. I would have liked to see him take more time off, but we'll see what happens. You know, this is one of those fights, I think that you made a good point, Cole, the weight cut. So watch the weigh and see how that goes. There's a chance, and I don't want to say it. I don't want to be the one who spoils the fight. But, I mean, there's got to be a chance that he doesn't make weight, right, Cole? Because 3 months ago, he fought at 155. We know how hard he's had to cut to make 145. I think there's a chance he could have a bad weight cut here. I still think he's going to win the fight, though. I think before that Poirier fight, anyone would have picked him in this fight. I'm not going to change my mind about it just because of one fight at a higher weight class against an absolute stud in Poirier. So give me Max Holloway, man. I think he wins this fight, either decision or a KO, like a TKO later in the fight. But, yeah, give me Max. I think he's going to defend the belt. And then what does he do after that, Cole? Does he stay at 145 or go back 155? What's your thoughts on that?
I think if he goes up to lightweight, I would like to see him not going to fight right away. Honestly, take a while to build himself up because he looks small against Poirier, and that was short notice. I'd honestly rather see him take the rest of the year off and just build up fat and turn it into muscle and just get bigger because he was undersized for lightweight. And he can't be doing this thing where if he's committed to lightweight, he has to stay at lightweight. If he's committed to featherweight, don't take another lightweight fight and just continue to defend your belt. Like, even before the Poirier fight, it's like, if I win this, I'm fighting featherweight in the summer, which he can't be doing if he's going to stay at lightweight because there are absolute monsters up there that he cannot be undersized against.
100%. Okay, so that's UFC 240. I think for the most part, we agreed on every fight call. I think except for the Coke Stewart fight and Davis Araujo. I think we agreed on everything else. So we'll see what happens. Probably be a few upsets we didn't see coming. Oh, and Tucker and Choi. I picked Choi. You picked Tucker. So just 3 fights we disagreed on. Otherwise, we picked everything the same. So I think you'll see a lot of favorites winning this card, but definitely a couple of fights that we probably didn't see playing out the way they do. All right, so let's talk a little bit about UFC San Antonio, Cole. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I already did the recap, but obviously not a good card, long card. Yeah. Just overall thoughts on the card, Cole.
Yeah, it was a terrible card. Prelims dragged on forever. Went overtime. Like, why is Dominic Cruz taking up 20 minutes talking about the event? Like, let's just get to it. Hope ESPN and UFC learn from that, but it was bad. Main event, I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was a good fight. I know some people thought it was boring, but the finishes from Hooker, Hardy, and Harris really kind of saved that main card because even the first 2 fights on the main card weren't that good either. Yeah,
I pretty much agree with everything you said. As far as Leon Edwards goes, Cole, I know I talked about yesterday in the show. I think that we'll see what happens with the Covington fight next weekend. I feel like Masvidal will pass him for the title shot, and then we'll probably see Edwards versus Covington. But what are your thoughts on that, Cole? Like, do you think he gets the next title shot, or you think he's got to fight one more time, or what do you think?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Covington got it next and UFC does Masvidal Edwards. There's so much hype around that. I get they don't want to do Masvidal and his team don't want to hold up for the title shot, which makes sense. But look at Colby Covington. Like, that's your best friend. You have to know you can't follow his game plan where he sat out for like 14 months waiting for a title shot, then didn't get it. Like, the UFC says you're not getting a title shot, and he's like, all right, I'll just wait for the winner. Chances are you're probably going to get passed over again. And this is the fight I think the UFC can do is a fight night main event and really have a really intriguing matchup between the two as well.
Yeah, I feel bad for Cole being away. I mean, listen, he had a broken nose or something. He had to get that surgery back at UFC 228. Till took the title shot against Woodley. And then the UFC got pissed off because he's like, I don't want to fight Usman for an interim belt. I want to wait for Woodley. They got pissed at him, took his title shot away, gave it to Usman. Now he's been waiting forever, is forced to fight Lawler. So I do feel bad for Covington, but like you said, Cole, Masvidal better see that and see that, hey, even though we feel like we have leverage right now, maybe we don't. UFC always gets their way. So we'll see what happens there. Quickly, Contender Series tonight, Cole. I don't know if you've taken a look at the odds. Are there any fights that stand out to you on the Contender Series card tonight?
The main event should be a really good one. There's Terrence McKinney, pretty high on him.
Yeah.
Kurmagomedov, I'm high on him. I really like him. I was watching some of their highlights this morning. A lot of the Contender Series guy, Billy Quarantillo, it's good to see him. He was on The Ultimate Fighter. I don't think he wins this fight. Who he's fighting is really tough, but it's good to see him get another shot. And I like what the UFC is doing with that. Like, I like to see more like guys on The Ultimate Fighter that didn't get a shot in the UFC back in the Contender Series to see what they have, because obviously they were good enough for The Ultimate Fighter. If they get a few wins on the regional scenes, like, bring them back to see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's got a chance to win this fight tonight. I did the podcast this morning, and I said that of all the dogs, I think he's got the best chance because he does have that experience on The Ultimate Fighter, but we'll see what happens. What else? John Jones, he's obviously been in the news, Cole. Now, I'm of the mind that we don't have enough facts about it yet to really make a comment, but obviously I have to ask you about this. Any reaction or thoughts about the whole John Jones thing?
Yeah, it's a lot of the details are murky to make a real comment on, especially because Jones' representative said they didn't even know about the warrant, so that's kind of sketchy and weird. But I think everyone right when something wrong goes with Jones, everyone's like, oh, he's guilty just because of his past. I think you have to really see all the facts come out and all the evidence come out first before really making a decision on if you think he's did it or not.
I agree 100%. The other thing I'll say, Cole, you'll find this interesting. So the other night I was on Twitter. I think it was Sunday night, or I guess early Monday morning at 1 a.m. I'm on Twitter, right? And someone tweets about this. Cole, I checked 10 times. I made sure this was real. I thought it could have been a fake article or something, man. And I'm like, whoa, this is actually legit. It's kind of weird it broke in the middle of the night, right? Like, isn't that strange? So I thought it was weird, and then it was legit. So I went and posted the story at bjpenn.com, and man, I think that probably did a ton of clicks because I saw how many people were talking about it, which is obviously good for me and good for the site. Man, that was something that I think they just like to hate on John Jones, even if we don't know the details. It's definitely a bad story, but Cole, for me, it's just another thing that it's like all these guys like Greg Hardy, John Jones, people just really don't like these guys, but they love reading about them, man. So even though people say, oh, these guys are bad for the UFC, people still love to read about them and criticize them. So you could say they're bad for the sport, but the same way, I think they're good for the sport in some ways too. So it goes both ways. What else? I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Cole? Is there any other?
Lofton signed with the PFL today.
Brendan Lofton, yes. I didn't mention this today because I just saw it this afternoon. Love the signing for PFL. Dana White is a stubborn guy, and that's why he didn't get signed. He made a huge mistake on signing this guy. He had the best fight of the season in many ways. Guy was a warrior. He deserves to be in the UFC. The UFC's lost, man. It's one of those things, man. A lot of this goes in every walk of life, Cole. There's going to be someone at the top who just doesn't see you the way that other people see you, and they choose to pass up on you. And that goes for Brendan Lofton. The guy's a tough warrior. UFC decided to pass on him. Dana White did not want to listen to the fans. Didn't want to listen to the media. He just said, I don't want this guy because he took a takedown. So dumb. Worst reasoning I've ever heard for not signing a guy. Habib Nurmagomedov, that's all he does is take guys down, Cole. It really made no sense. There's got to be something going on behind the scenes. I don't know. I think he just signed Malky Kawa as his manager last week or something. So don't know if the ex-manager had some bad blood with the UFC. Don't know who it was. But Malky Kawa, man, you know what? Say what you want, Malky and Abe. Those guys get the job done for their clients, man. Another good signing, I think, here. This guy's going to fight in season 3 of PFL. Hopefully, if that season happens, go for $1 million. I'd like to sign for PFL corner. I'd like to sign for Brendan Lofton, man. I think this is a good fit for him, and I think he has a good chance to win that tournament. So what's your thoughts, Cole?
Yeah, it's good to see him get the PFL chance for $1 million. I know Ariel said they're gonna have him fight in October in a non-tournament bout, which is good.
Okay.
Get him in a fight and make some money for him. But I think he has a good shot to win the featherweight. And I'm honestly surprised. I feel like Bellator probably went after him for the Grand Prix because he would have been a big addition. But whoever signed him after all the media attention he got was gonna get a big name because now a lot of people are interested in seeing him fight and how he does now because of the Contender Series.
Agreed 100%. What do you think about the Miles Jury Benson Henderson fight in Bellator?
It's kind of weird Jury's getting that big of a step up. Like, Henderson's on a 3-fight winning streak. Like, you could give him you could make a case that he deserves a title shot. Like, I know he's gotten 2 in Bellator, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Jury at lightweight is much better, so I'm interested to see how he looks. But early thoughts, I favor Henderson to win it.
Yeah, I think so too. The more I thought about it, because he's actually on a win streak right now, which is good to see. More experience, obviously, against higher level competition, and more experience in Bellator. He's also got that win over Pitbull. Cole. Yeah, I know it was an injury, but still, that's a big win now. The guy who's a double champ. What else? Did you look at the brackets and stuff? Did we talk about this yet? Did you see? I think we mentioned a little bit last week. Any more thoughts on the Bellator featherweight Grand Prix and the fights in that initial round?
Well, non-Grand Prix, I'm really looking forward to see who they match Pico up with, because I thought Bellator was going to put him in there and really just kind of say, oh, he's still a top guy, and if he lost again, that's 4-4. So I'm glad he's not. But I think it was MMA Junkie did a thing. Would you take Pitbull or the field? And I think I'd take the field, honestly. If you give me 15 fighters to 1, I'm going to take the 15. I think Archuleta could very well beat him. I think McKee is a good shot. And I know you mentioned on your podcast is they better do it live, the drawing, or people are going to think it's rigged. Like, they're the seedings for the second round and who fights who. You have to televise that or stream it on Twitter or something, or people are going to say, "Oh yeah, that's rigged. It wasn't real."
Yep. Right. It has to be right. Like if you're going to say, "Oh, these guys pulled these things out of an egg." If no one's there, how did it happen? Right. It's like if a tree falls in the woods kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think there's a lot of potential. I like that, but I want to see it live, televised, or even on the app or something. I just saw a quote just now that the UFC. Okay, this is so funny, right? Dana White told Hannah Goldie like 2 weeks ago she wasn't ready for the UFC. Now she just got signed and she's fighting next week. Explain that to me, Cole. Like Brendan Loughnane wasn't good enough, but Hannah Goldie is. Tell me why. Tell me why she got signed. And 2 weeks ago she wasn't good enough.
No, I have no idea. UFC Newark was down to 11 fights, so I probably had to fill something out, and they were probably
Your fight got moved. Yeah.
they were probably closest to weight, and they figured let's do it. But I don't know, the way the UFC and Dana White made some decisions, I question, but they're the ones in charge, so I guess we just got to go with it.
I don't think it's a bad signing. Like I think she's actually ready, but it's Dana White said she's not ready, and now she's ready. So that doesn't make sense to me. She only has 2 fights too as a pro, so I don't know. I'm not sure what to say, man. Very strange. I do think she actually looked okay in that fight. They need prospects in that division, but it's just weird how Dana White operates sometimes, man. And again, Cole, we've talked about this on the podcast, but last week they signed 5 guys, right? Or something. 4 guys, I think. 4 or 5 guys. And 4 guys, sorry. And then the week before was 5. Tonight, another Contender Series. They might sign another 5 people. When are they going to do a max exodus of fighters from UFC? It's got to be happening soon, right?
Yeah, 100%. A lot of people have to be. If you're coming off 2 losses in a row, you have to be worried you're going to get cut, because they keep on signing more people. It's not like there's more shows or more event or more fights on shows. They have the same 12, maybe 13. So they don't have spots, and a lot of fighters already complain they don't get enough fights. There's not enough fights for the amount of time they want to fight in a year. So if you're on a losing streak, you better hope you aren't the one getting axed. I think there's going to be a big purge at the end of the summer where you see a lot of guys get cut.
Yeah, I agree with that, Cole. I think that's pretty fair. Definitely we'll have to see what happens, but I mean, you got to listen. They're cutting guys. They got to make room for them, right? So, or sorry, they're bringing guys down. They got to cut guys to make room. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Cole? Anything else in the world of MMA before we get out of here?
No, not really. I think that's everything we covered.
All right, cool. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. As always, appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the UFC 240 breakdown. You guys can find me on Twitter at MMAdammartin. This podcast is available at MMAOddsbreaker.com and on our YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check my article at MMAOddsbreaker.com for UFC Contender Series tonight, breakdown of the opening odds, and also UFC 240 as well. BJPenn.com, always writing about the news for them. MMAnews.com, I have an article, I think, coming out tomorrow about Frankie Edgar. That should be good. And MMARatings.net, I'm always writing for them as well. Cole, plug your stuff and let's get out of here.
Twitter at Cole Shelton 91, BJPenn.com. On Monday, you can read the Frankie Edgar interview I did with him. It's longer than what I normally do, but he said a lot of interesting stuff about the fight. Just posted one earlier this morning on my interview with Christoph Jocko. Tomorrow, I have Felicia Spencer, one up on BJPenn. Thursday, I'll have the fighter picks, another one on Edgar on what winning the belt would mean to his legacy and where he ranks himself among the greatest to ever do it if he were to win the featherweight belt. And then Friday, I'll have the Jeff Neal on BJPenn. But yeah, just check out my Twitter for everything I do, and I'm always writing news for all the other outlets I work for.
Awesome, Cole. Thanks again for joining me, man. I appreciate it. Do love your insight. And thank you guys for joining us on the podcast today. Have an amazing day, guys. We'll be back next Tuesday to break down UFC Newark. And until then, I'll be back tomorrow morning talking about the latest in the world of MMA and recapping what happened tonight at the Contender Series. Have a good one, guys. See you later.